Hey guys, what's up? I am coming to you today again from my car. I just started, like 5 minutes now, my 1 hour drive to school. And I am in my reflective phase again. From time to time, I reflect on everything that I have going on. I evaluate, I guess, end products, so to speak, like if I was late in something or if I was stressed out over something, like the end results, like what did it give me? And I don't know, like when I was like 20, maybe 23 years old, in the midst of like struggling, being broke and having all these bills, you leave college and you can't go back home. Because not that you can't go back home, you don't want to go back home, I should say. And I decided at 23 that I wasn't going to get stressed over things that I cannot control. And every time I have a relapse, hold on, let me turn. Yeah, every time I have a relapse, I have this little pep talk with myself, First of all, stressing over something is not going to change it. Me having the light bill that was due and me stressing over it when I don't have the money to pay it is not going to pay it. So I decided that my time is better spent stressing over things that I can control, and hopefully in turn that would help me pay my light bill. I read this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it was an eye-opener, in terms of how I viewed money. Rich people and poor people view money totally different, and that's one of the reasons why they have money. In Rich Dad Poor Dad, there was, it was from the vantage point of him being a little kid and having a dad who was a professor, I believe. I read this book in my early 20s. Not early 20s, but in my 20s. And his dad was a professor, and he had a good job. And of course, his dad always told him, you got to do well in school so that you can go to college and get a good job so you can have a decent life, a good life. And his friend's dad was a store owner, like a small grocery store owner who was struggling at the time, and who was seen as the poor dad. And so hanging out with his friends, he and his friend asked his dad something about money, and his dad said that in order for you to be rich, you gotta figure out how to make money. And so, at a 13-year-old, 11-year-old kid, they thought of it literally, how to make money. But that dad at the time, his poor dad, which is his friend's dad, was talking about how to make money work for you. And I think the mentality of the masses in general is, how do I get a job to make money instead of how money makes. And it was an eye-opener, and I started looking at money a little bit different, and that's why I started thinking that I needed to get into real estate and all these different things, and look at the real estate market now. So I guess now I got to think of another avenue right now and how to make money work for me. And I don't know, I think that in itself is very powerful, I mean, because we get up every day going to a job sometimes that probably is not even making enough money for us to live, and I guess if that's the case, then maybe you need to reevaluate what standard of living you're living at as well, So maybe you can have that extra money so that you can put into something, because right now the economy is the way it is. And if you're sitting at home, not working because you can't find a job, how about creating a job? You know, and I don't know. I'm not working right now, but it's not like that I want to work. I'm trying to get my degree, not because I think I'm going to always work in this job in order to make money. No, I know that if I wanted a certain standard of living, I got to figure out how to make money work for me. Yeah, and I forgot to add that in the Rich Dad Poor Dad thing, by the time the guy was in his 20s, the dad that was the poor dad, the store owner, became the rich dad, and his dad, who had all the degrees and the professor and all that stuff, the roles switched, because he was now the poor dad in comparison to his friend's dad, because he had retired and living off of his retirement, like a small steady income, I think it was. And the dad that had the store was a millionaire. So that kind of inspired him to look at the world differently, and so he wrote that book and many other books in terms of how to understand money and how to invest money, and like changing your outlook and so on. And I think as a people, we need to research the Jews, man. I mean, I have some Jewish friends that the way that, even if they don't have money, it's just like their outlook is completely different than most of the people that I know. And you got to think about it. The Jewish population is one of the smallest in ethnic group. What do you even consider them an ethnic group? Because it's like a religion, but you know what I mean. And they are one of the wealthiest set of people in the world. And these people almost got wiped off the face of the earth. Okay? So it has to be a formula. And I know they're blessed people, but they they know the secret of success. Okay? So, I think there must be something there, and I guess as a people we need to tap into what the Jews are doing. But as I guess to add is that I have gone through my struggles. As I said, I struggled a lot, and I'm not saying I'm not struggling now, but it's a totally different struggle, because I don't worry about my light bill anymore. I don't worry about any of that stuff anymore, like I did when I was in my 20s. And some of that too is learning pains, growing pains. You got to go through that anyways, and I think it makes you a stronger person to struggle and then come on the other side and be a better person for it, in terms of learning from either your mistakes or just your life experience itself. Because we weren't all born with a silver or a gold spoon in our mouth. I definitely wasn't. So whatever it is that we accomplish, is blood, sweat, and tears, but it just depends on what avenue that blood, sweat, and tears come from. Where you go, not come from, but just depends on what route you take. You don't have to I don't think we don't have to struggle as much as we struggle sometimes. Alright? So, I don't know, I guess I will, as I said, I will kind of try to pick a topic and explore a topic in terms of, one, do we need to surround ourselves with people who are not going anywhere? Who are like crabs in a bucket? The crabs in a bucket mentality. Two, our outlook in life, evaluating what type of outlook we have, where we want to go, and so on. Three, how do we make money work for but I don't think it's necessarily one how you can say facet to the economy is how to make money. I definitely know that it's a mentality and outlook in life in terms of how to make money work for you. Because I even look at Master P. I was always impressed with Master P, where he got $10,000 of inheritance, and he hustled, and he turned that $10,000. Yes, he had a skill, and he turned it into millions of dollars. You know, most people will probably go shopping, you know. And that's another thing too. It's like, if you don't have any money, you don't have no business going shopping.